Can you think of the utility of this card? Why this card is given to the beneficiaries?
What are the benefits of economic integration?
Or you're liking your job in the railways?
Why do we import coal from Australia?
Tell me, what are the possible reasons for train accidents on Indian railways?
What are the challenges that Africa is facing today?
So why we took so much years of gap, in bringing acts like POCSO?
What is the mechanism with railways to deal with medical contingency en route?
So may I come in?
Yes, come in.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir. Morning,
Please be
ma'am.
seated.
Thank you, sir.
Please give a brief introduction about yourself.
Sir, I am Medha Anand. I am a civil engineering graduate from HBTI Kanpur. I did it in 2017, and post that I started my preparation for civil services. I got into Indian Railway Traffic Service, and presently I am working in NCR at Prayagraj as ATM planning, sir.
As ATM planning.
Yes, sir.
Or you're liking your job in the railways?
So till now it's going good.
It's going good.
well.
Okay. Tell me, all the organized services have been merged into one, IRMS. So, your views on the merger, and what were the possible reasons for the merger?
So I think it's a step in the right direction, considering we'll be able to fix responsibilities once all the services are merged. Since we'll have a uniform cadre, we'll be able to fix responsibility and accountability of all that's happening in the railways, sir. I think, so the reasons behind the merger can be said to be, one I can think of is that when Lalu Prasad Yadavji's regime was there, we had a surplus of around 25,000 crore. And one reason for that was that there was less departmentalism. Another is that since there's so many verticals in railways, it is difficult to pinpoint. For example, if there is an accident, God forbid, it is always difficult to pinpoint whose mistake or accountability it was. So based on Vivek Debray's committee, it was decided that all the cadres would be merged into one, sir.
Vivek Debray's committee had recommended the creation of two different cadres. One was logistics and another was technical. But now we find that just one cadre has been created. You are also an engineer. You tell me, is it a prudent idea to have just one cadre recruited through civil services to manage and operate a system like railways, which are very much primarily technical in nature?
Sir, I'm assuming that we can have generalists on the top from the civil services, but the workforce and the staff that we have, we can ensure that they are good at their jobs. For example, the civil engineers can work as either we can give that to a third party in cases which are specialized, or either, sir, we can just recruit the staff which is very well adept in managing the tracks and all those. So the top level, I believe, can be of generalists.
Do you think that people who are recruited through subordinate services examinations or RRBs and who can technically rise up to the level of Group B, they are capable of taking technical decisions?
So I'm told that of the experience I have right now that
okay.
Yes.
Tell me, what are the possible reasons for train accidents on Indian railways?
So there can be many. So one can be the lack of attentiveness of the loco pilot or the ALPs, assistant loco pilots, as happened in the case last year, where it was proven that they were watching match while they crossed two signals. So another can be a loophole in the signaling aspect, which happened in the Balasore accident. Sir, another can be that either the two trains can ram into each other because of lack of adherence to the signal, which is called SPAD, or it can be a head-on collision if two trains by mistake enter into one loop. So another can be track circuit can fail, because of which the person in the control room might not know that there are two trains on the same track. So apart from that, one more accident happened because the notch of the railway was pushed and it jumped onto the station from the track. So these are few of the reasons I can think of.
You tell me, I mean, a very peculiar thing happened recently. Your driver had left the locomotive and it moved on its own. So where do you fix the responsibility in such cases?
So the problem was this train was not properly latched. It had to be protected because there was a downward slope. It had to be protected via chains and wooden wedges had to be kept. So one mistake was done by the pointsman who did not latch it properly. So another was that once there was this shivering from the trains nearby of the passenger train, this train started to move.
So what is TCS? TCAS?
So train collision
yes.
avoidance systems.
Yeah.
So Kavach.
It's Kavach. How does it work?
So it works on radio frequency, RFID. There are 3 attached. One is on the locomotive, another is on the track, and the third is on the station. So these 3 units coordinate with each other, and instant braking is applied either when the driver crosses a particular speed limit, or he enters a loop line with more than the prescribed limit, or he or she crosses a red light signal. In all these 3 cases, sir.
Okay. What is Amrit Bharat Railway Station Scheme?
So there is a scheme of development of around 550 stations, maximum lie in Uttar Pradesh. These stations will be developed based on the local conditions. For example, if there is a station in Rajasthan, it will be developed based on
the... Is it a fully government funded project, or it works on the model of PPP?
So I'll have to read more on it.
You're not aware of this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Medha, there is an economic concept called single market. What is the meaning?
So I'll have to read more on it.
Okay.
As in.
Economic integration is one of the policy objectives of not only Government of India but many other governments of the world. And several programs and schemes, including some policy measures, are taken. GST is also one of the policy measures towards economic integration. What are the benefits of economic integration?
So one I can think of is the integration of the whole system, wherein we can have one nation, one tax kind of a scheme. So another can be the simplification of the norms. Since they'll be paying just one kind of a tax, there will be simplification which will attract more business opportunity and economics. So another can be that we can have cause and effect kind of a thing. If I want to implement something, it will be easier for the government to implement it because they have a direct relationship to one another, sir.
So why we are not able to include petroleum products and liquor also in the GST ambit?
So one is that the state governments are having a lot of revenue out of these commodities and also the central government. But sir, with time, I think because in the beginning we had some teething issues and we wanted that the states should come on board to ensure that there is effective implementation of GST. So I think with time we'll be able to accommodate even these into the GST system.
The fact that Gujarat and Bihar have implemented prohibition on liquor. So can these governments take initiative to integrate their sell tax on liquor in GST?
So once the central government assures that there is this thing is included, I think it can be done, sir. So because it will
why aren't these governments taking initiative? Because they don't have any revenue coming from liquor sale.
So but then that will be a state government kind of a thing, and we are thinking of something which has to be implemented by the center.
Okay, fine. Recently some state governments have requested, and there is a case also going in the Supreme Court, that they should have the right to impose tax or cess on ores and minerals which are extracted from that state territory. What is your understanding? Should the states be given the right?
Yes, sir, they can be given, but then only the states which have the particular minerals will benefit from it. But having said so, I can understand that the resource crunch that the states which have minerals face, this can be an easy solution for them to get out of it, because once their revenues will increase, they'll be able to spend more on the welfare of the people, and also will be able to ensure that it is effectively distributed amongst its population, sir.
So why do you think the central government is not willing to allow them?
So because it will have to give out some from its own kitty, sir. Because right now I think it's the center which would be getting the part, and with time it will have to share its revenue. So its own kitty.
No, center can have its own cess. The state government could have its own cess. The user would have to pay two cesses, one to the center, another to the state.
So maybe because then the inflationary pressure would be very high. That can be one of the reasons, because then it will be very hefty on the user to pay two cesses and two surcharges.
Okay. We are having good enough stock of coal in our own country. Why do we import coal from Australia?
So because the coal stock that we have is not of that good quality. Its calorific value is low, its moisture content is high, and even the fumes that it produces are more than the other one. So I think the good ones are the anthracite coal, and ours is of a lesser quality, sir.
Recently, Government of India has allowed 100% FDI in space technology, particularly satellite manufacturing components. Benefits are obvious. There will be more investment, more production, etc. What are the potential threats which we should guard against?
So one can be the national security and sovereignty aspect of it. if these countries if the country that is giving the money, they want to make profits out of it, or if they want to have an intelligence kind of a system, they can exploit the system for their own use, which can have negative repercussions on us. So also the ethical use of this whole program will have to be looked after by the government, so that the companies just for the sheer motive of making profit don't misutilize the whole system. Sir.
Do we have safeguard measures in place?
Yes, sir. Sir, in some cases, there is a need for approval from the respective ministries about the projects that are going on.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
There is an automatic route of FDI and there is a government route.
Yes, sir.
So what exactly is government route?
So in this, they will have to take the approval of the government department, the concerned government department, and only then they can go ahead with it, sir.
Department or only CCA?
So my understanding is the ministry, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Anand,
Yes, sir.
you are also having a background of railways, right? Can you please tell me, there are in terms of security grid of railways, we always come across three terms: RPF, RPSF, and GRP.
Yes, sir.
What is the difference between three agencies?
Sir, the GRP is basically the state police that is kept so that there is security of the assets that are around there. So the railway police force is the one which ensures that there is safety of the passengers on the train, moving on the train.
So you are suggesting it's the mandate of GRP to secure the assets of the railways, or it is primarily the mandate of RPF?
So I think the RPF is the one that secures the assets.
Can you please tell me two acts under which RPF draws its power to work in the defined jurisdiction?
So one would be the Railway Act, and another
Railway Act of?
So 1989.
Yes.
So another would be, I'm not able to recall.
RPUP Act. Okay. Yes, go ahead.
So the RPF would be responsible for ensuring that the assets remain secure. So the GRP is part of the state police. For example, it will be recruited from the UP state police.
So RPF and RPSF both are same, or there is a difference in terms of mandate given to the two agencies under the Ministry of Railways?
Sir, I'll have to read more on this.
Okay. Also tell me, recently railways have introduced a new system which is called Rail Madad. It is a web-based application by which have you come across this Rail Madad application?
Yes, sir.
So I presume you have scanned all the features of Rail Madad. Basically, it creates an interface between passengers and the railways authorities to provide seamless redressal of complaints.
Yes, sir.
So based on my understanding and belief that you have gone through all the features of this, can you please suggest me a few interventions from railways into this act so as to make it more passenger friendly in terms of delivery of redressal of complaint?
So one is that this is directly dealt by the commercial department. So we can ensure that whatever complaints we are receiving, they are solved in maybe a matter of day or two. We can have it in our citizen charter that they will be solved within this particular timeline. If there is still a specific technical glitch in that complaint, we can give maybe a more grace period of maybe 2-3 more days, but it should be ensured that they are properly sorted out in a given frame of time, sir. So another I can think of is we can have maybe a helpline number also attached, which works really well, so that a passenger in maybe a situation of grave danger is able to contact directly to the officers concerned and register his or her complaint. So another would be the Twitter grievance redressal system. In that also we can ensure that once the passenger is tagging a particular Twitter account, he or she gets the reply very soon on it, sir.
What is the mechanism with railways to deal with medical contingency en route? As of now, we have seen that if there is any medical contingency as such and requires an immediate attendance of that particular situation, you need to make a call to commercial control. From there, the concerned medical practitioner from the railways come to attend you at the station, and in this delay, the precious moments that you call life-saving moments are at times lost, and we don't deliver as per the expectation. What should be the mechanism in order to provide en route medical facility to deal with medical contingencies?
So initially there was a railway board letter which said that 56 items need to be kept in the emergency kit on all railway lines. So we also introduced a system wherein there was a doctor on board who used to sit with the nurses, and they used to carry along. But then this system was found not so remunerative, and this was withdrawn. So sir, something on the lines of what we have right now in Vande Bharat can be installed, wherein the passengers can speak directly to the loco pilot, and then the loco pilot gives an announcement that if there is any doctor on board, he or she may please help so and so passenger on seat number so and so. So this can be an effective way. So another is, once the person or any of the other passenger is able to communicate with the loco pilot, the loco pilot can stop the train on the next station by coordinating with the station master. They have the walkie-talkies, and they can arrange immediate rescue and rehabilitation of the person, sir.
My last question to you. I have booked one e-ticket for a particular train, right? And the booking status of my train is waitlisted.
Yes, sir.
The chart has been prepared and I have been communicated that your ticket is still in waiting list category. And you are not allowed to board the train, right? And you have paid 1,500 rupees, but the refund that will be applicable to you will be some amount short of rupees 1,500 rupees. Can you please tell me what is the rationale of deducting the amount when I have not actually availed of the services that I had opted? It is inability of the railways to provide me accommodation. I was willing to travel, but still you have deducted a certain portion of my amount. Do you think that this comes in conflict with the provisions of what you call customer services?
So I think there is a need to relook on this, and we can definitely ensure that if a confirmed ticket is not given to a passenger, he or she is fully given the money back. Because I think right now the service charges would be cut if the ticket
when I have not availed the services, why you are collecting the charges?
So I think that is because of the UPI that has been used. Some amount of charges cut for that, and some is cut for just...
Okay, thank you.
Medha Anand.
Yes, ma'am.
How should I call you? Medha or Anand or Miss Anand?
Ma'am, anything would be fine.
Okay. What is there in surname if I say Anand?
Ma'am, one is I can think of is it reflects patriarchy because I've taken it from my father, and my mother's surname is not reflected in my name.
And once you're married, your husband's surname would be there.
Ma'am, I'll try to use my maiden name even then.
Okay, go ahead. So shall we think over of dropping the surnames?
Ma'am, it can be done, or maybe something of a middle name as is used in Western countries can be adopted, wherein people can have more than that, because then there'll be many people having the same first names, and it will be difficult to distinguish maybe between them. So, but if it reflects just the caste thing of it, then maybe dropping of surnames can be done, ma'am.
We can think of. You are a scholar of sociology, right?
Yes, ma'am.
It is usually said that change is only constant, right? How do you understand this? What are the various laws you can recall that is bringing change in the society?
Ma'am, with changing times, the morality and ethicality, or if I may say so, the collective conscience of the community as a whole changes. So the laws just reflect the collective conscience of that particular society at that moment of development. Ma'am, for example, when sati was abolished, before that it was the collective conscience which said that it is all right. But once people thought that it is not right to kill a woman just because the husband is no more, so we had to change the law, and sati prohibition prevention was introduced.
Fine.
Ma'am, another I can think of is the case of France, which has made abortion a constitutional right. So we are giving more bodily autonomy to women and ensuring that women have the right to choose over the right of the unborn child that earlier we used to keep. These are some of the instances where change is the only constant. We are adhering to the changing times.
I can see that child marriage prohibition is also there, but still we see that such kind of ill practices are happening in our society. So what measures government should take to curb it very strictly?
Ma'am, one can be that the child marriages are declared void ab initio. Right now the child marriages are not considered void unless the person who has gotten married as a child, they complained after 5 years of becoming balig. So instead of that, we can make them void ab initio since the beginning. But having said that, the rights of the child born out of this marriage, that will have to be taken care of. The legitimacy of the child will have to be protected. Ma'am, another is that, like for example in Rajasthan, we have done for Akshaya Tritiya, where lots of child marriages take place. There can be special officers on duty whose main aim is to ensure that child marriages do not take place. We can have community whistleblowers who blow the whistle in case there is any child marriage happening. Ma'am, apart from that, there can be advertisements. For example, the latest one I saw was that it was a tailor who said that Choti abhi is too young to get married, and how can you get her married, and if you do that, I'll report it to the police. Ma'am, such advertisements will raise more awareness. and such steps can be taken.
So, taking your examples into consideration, then UCC is in the right step, I suppose?
Yes, ma'am.
So, you have a support for this?
Yes, ma'am, but we'll have to ensure that there is effective communication between the different groups of people. None of the groups should feel that it is against their ethos and their ethicality. So once we have a proper connection and collaboration between the different groups, we can definitely.
Okay, Medha, my final question to you, I would like to have your opinion over this. That we have a POCSO Act, right?
Yes, ma'am.
It came in which year? In 2012.
Okay, ma'am.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
And we have a UN Convention on Child Rights right in 1992. So why we took so much years of gap, in bringing acts like POCSO? That too, it is seen as the culmination of another grave act, that is the Rape Act of 2012. So why are we so late in bringing such an stringent action over such heinous crimes? Are we a really soft state?
Ma'am, I would say that one, it takes a lot of time to come collaborate and launch an act, because once an act is let out, it will have severe repercussions on the society. So it has to be a well thought out, well planned act. Ma'am, another is that the requirements of the society, we have to look about it. While the UN might have felt it a long time before, for a society like India, which was a simple society, didn't have that many problems, they might have felt that there is still time to implement such a act. But ma'am, having said that, we could have been more quicker in implementing an act like this, considering there were cases earlier too. There would have been cases and there was more awareness amongst the women that their rights needs to be protected. And we could have done it faster, but then it would have taken us a little amount of time in coming to terms with the exact clauses that had to be put in, ma'am.
Or we wait for a triggering accident to happen something.
Sometimes that too happens, ma'am.
Thank you, Medha.
Medha, what is sickle cell disease?
Sir, it is a disease of the blood wherein the RBCs become of sickle cell shape instead of the round that they usually are, sir.
Okay, so in India, some of the tribal populations are known to have prominence of this disease. Can you tell us this disease is prominent in which states?
So may I take a guess?
Please.
So it is mostly, I think, in Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand and this belt.
And the tribal population associated. Okay. The government of India has launched a mission for the betterment of people who are with this disease. Can you tell us the name of this mission?
So sickle cell, it is related to this.
Yes. Sickle cell anemia elimination mission. And we are aiming to eliminate this disease by the year 2047. Okay. In this regard, a genetic card is also given to the beneficiaries. Can you think of the utility of this card? Why this card is given to the beneficiaries?
So the card would be given so that it has the genetic makeup of the tribe. Mm-hmm. And also if somebody marries into this tribe, they know about it.
Precisely. Great. What are your views on the ex post facto clearances given, environmental clearances given to certain developmental projects?
So definitely there should be collaboration which should happen first hand before giving them this clearance. But maybe in some cases which have to be fast tracked, or there are cases of national security, sovereignty and national integration where maybe they are not adhering to the particular rule, so to say, sir.
But if some type of environmental damage has already taken place, then what is the point of giving or not giving clearance at a later date?
Yes, sir, that is true, sir. So we should definitely try to give it beforehand than to give it once the damage has already happened.
Okay, what is environmental impact assessment?
Sir, it is a system in which there are different steps involved. I think there's scoping, screening and 2-3 more steps are involved, sir. Herein we ensure that whatever projects are being done, so there are different groups A, B1, B2, and based on the level of effect, the externality they will have on the environment, they have to get clearances from the state government, from the central government and Ministry of Environment. And once those clearances are given, only then after
they can... An associated concept is that of the social impact assessment.
Yes, sir.
What is SIA?
So herein we are trying to gauge the social effects, the social externalities related to a particular project. Mm-hmm. So for example, if we are making a school, its social impact assessment would be doing better as compared to maybe an industrial project wherein a lot of pollution and such things are being done, sir.
Okay. Medha, currently mental health is becoming a pressing concern in our society. So, can you tell us what are the issues revolving around this scenario of mental health in our country?
So one I can think of is too much competition and a need to excel in every field. So from childhood only, this rat race kind of a thing is propping up on a very large extent, where parents are thinking that even a 97% of their kids is less. So one can be this. So another is we focus less on counseling. There should be more acceptance as well as awareness about counseling. People should be carefree while taking counseling. So another is just like we have bodily issues, mental issues should be treated like this and less stigma should be attached, but we have a lot of...
Do you think social media can be held responsible for the worsening mental state of people in our country, particularly the youth?
So it can be one of the reasons because we gauge our lives based on what we see the celebrities doing. So for example, the recent Anant Ambani's pre-wedding, that might create jitters between many people who might not be able to afford that kind of a wedding festivity. So similarly, bodily issues, for example, fat shaming, such kind of things can also have a greater impact on the youth. So another would be that the use of filters, which I see prominent.
Tell me one legislation or a policy initiative in this direction.
So mental health policy.
Okay. My final question to you. What are the challenges that Africa is facing today?
So one is that it is in a continuous state of turmoil and flux. Most of the countries in Africa, they have a kind of civil war going on. So another is the mineral, because of the minerals, there's always this people running towards the great game of Africa. So another would be that with China's power, China is putting various naval bases like Djibouti and all. So that can have a debt trap diplomacy for Africa. So another is that at the UN, the African continent is not well represented. So their voices are not that heard. So also the situation of malnutrition and health remains a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Medha, tell me names of 3 Indian sociologists.
Sir Ashish Bose, Ila Chakravarti and Vandana Shiva, sir.
How about M.N. Srinivas, Yogendra Singh?
Yes, sir.
They are the pioneers, A.R. Desai.
Yes, sir.
Isn't it? Who is the sociologist who has coined the term dominant caste?
Sir M.N. Srinivas.
M.N. Srinivas. What is the concept like?
So he said that there is this caste which might not do so well in the hierarchy as the hierarchy traditionally existed, but sometimes because of more political power or access to land revenues or access to financial resources and sometimes even a government job. There are castes which rise above in the hierarchy because of these precise reasons. So for example, the Jats in Haryanas are one of the examples of dominant caste.
Who propounded a theory of cultural lag in India?
So I'm not sure.
You are not sure. Have you heard the name of Iravati Karve?
Yes, sir.
What was her contribution in the field of sociology and anthropology?
So she gave the distinction of various tribes as per the different regions of India. She gave the classification of how northeastern tribes differ from southern tribes, and so the kinship system precisely.
Kinship system, yes, precisely. Okay. One final question. Theory of structural functionalism. Who gave this theory in the context of India again? Have you heard about theory of structural functionalism?
Yeah, yes, sir, but I'm not able to recall, sir.
Sanskritization theory, again, Mr. M.N. Srinivas.
Yes, sir.
Is it relevant today? Is it happening today?
Yes, sir. A combination of Sanskritization and desanskritization is happening, while there is one group which is trying to move up the ladder by trying to emulate the different
Name
lifestyle.
That group?
So, for example, the Todas of Nilgiri. So, they have accepted to the lifestyle of Brahmanism. They have given up meat, they have given up alcohol, and they do early morning prayers and rituals, and by that they have tried to do it. So the Lingayats also is one of the examples.
Desanskritization?
So desanskritization is when a dominant caste tries to go down the ladder.
Example?
So for example, the Maratha claiming for reservation or the Jats claiming for reservation. So these are dominant castes.
Thank you very much, Medha. Your interview is over. You may go now.
Thank you, sir. So may I come in?
Sit down, Medha.
Thank you, sir.
Your interview is on 13th?
Yes, sir, 13th March.
Which attempt is this for you?
So 5th attempt.
5th. And interview?
So 3rd.
3rd interview. You got selected in 19, you said, no?
Yes, sir.
What was your mark?
So 193.
And thereafter?
Sir, in 2020, I missed the list by a mark. So I got 180 in interview. So then 21, I missed the prelims. 22, I didn't give the attempt. And so 23, I'm here.
So you are an excellent candidate, no doubt about it. So I'll not be wasting my time and your time explaining about how personality test happens in the UPSC. And you have already scored 193, and our assessment is also that you are capable of scoring very good marks. It can be 191 up to 200 also. It all depends on your luck that day, how you perform and all that. So 2019, when you went there, you're not in the railways.
No, sir.
And next year, you had already joined, or you had not joined.
So I was on EOL, but it was Chaube sir's board. So he was a little...
So I don't know whether any questions related to railway working was asked or not.
No, sir, not many.
Not many. But this time you are already in a working post,
Yes,
isn't
sir.
it? So expect a lot of questions on the railways. We tried to cover those areas. I will not be speaking again. Cross subsidy is one thing which is very important.
Yes, sir.
So what is the rationale for this? And do you think it's a good idea, or what changes you suggest, or no changes? So that to understand your mind, or how you think, how your mind works on this issue of cross subsidy. That is one thing. Electrification is important in the context of your larger context of renewable energy and green energy. What the Ministry of Railways have been doing towards that.
Yes, sir.
So other sources of energy and all that, rooftop, your solar energy and all that. So that is also very important. What is the railways perspective and all that.
Yes, sir.
Then your DFCCL is almost there, at least Eastern Corridor, partially it has been opened and all that. How it is going to impact the traffic pattern in the railways and all that.
Yes, sir.
About the issues of the line capacity, about the issues of those who have some knowledge of working in the railways and who are from the government side. So it all depends on what kind of composition of board is there for you. Otherwise, they may not ask you any questions apart from cross-subsidy kind of a thing and all. Then, multimodal connectivity is another big area. So, read about that also, what railways have been doing about that. Then, do you think that railways, highways, airways should be competing with each other, or they should be collaborating with each other? What are your views? And what is good for the country? What is good for the government?
Yes, sir.
Those kind of general questions. Merger, I have already asked you. Then trains are there, different type of trains are coming and all that.
Yes, sir.
Vande Bharat Express, how it is different from a traditional train and all that. Then you have this, what do you call that, Amrit Bharat train is also. So what is the purpose of this train, how this train is different from other train? And what do we mean by semi-high speed train, what is a high speed train? At least definition part you should be aware.
Yes, sir.
And where the high speed corridor is coming up in our country. So some brief idea about that. Its total length is 508 kilometers, starting from Gujarat, your capital of Gujarat, Sabarmati precisely, to BKC in Mumbai. So loan is given by the JICA agency. What are the terms and conditions? Basic idea. And then your IRMS will definitely be asked question on the IRMS. So give both the benefits, and because it is just in a very nascent stage, so very difficult to be judgmental on that. But reasons were that only. When you spoke about the committee and all that, committee had recommended creation of two different services. One was logistics for general candidates who come through civil services. Other was through technical services, or just called technical service. But the government in its wisdom has already decided to, as of now, tomorrow what is going to happen, nobody knows. But this has already been decided that, and the logic given by the government was that in any case we find 70 to 80% engineers. Therefore, there is no need to have a separate cadre for coming through engineering service. Now you are at Prayagraj.
Yes, sir.
Railways had a problem in Prayagraj long back during that Kumbh festival.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody may, if he has memory in the past, may ask you questions, and what remedial measures are required.
Yes, sir.
Then UP is another big area for you, which we did not ask you any questions on UP. UP's trajectory is very high. So read thoroughly about the UP, how it is able to attract investment, in which areas investment is happening, and what the government has been doing in the field of infrastructure, because today you represent the Ministry of Infrastructure, Department of Infrastructure, which areas and how East UP and West UP The focus is more on the East UP to bring it at par with the Western UP. So that is another area. Innovation, the field of innovation, what all are happening in UP. That will take you to the issue of your startups ecosystem in UP.
Yes, sir.
So in what areas startup are really emerging in the state of Uttar Pradesh. And then about general your socio-economic inclusion scheme of UP, how women-centric, your children-centric, education, all those issues, general issues, and very general questions are asked to a promising candidate that if you are given, you are asked to prepare a vision document for UP or for the country, what are 2-3 items you have in mind? So think of some items where you can be able to explain to.
Yes, sir.
The board to their full satisfaction. You are also a civil engineer. Civil engineer, apart from your roadways where a lot of innovative materials are getting used and all that, name of a few innovative materials and all that in the construction of road, few innovative materials in the construction of green building and all that. And then being a railway officer and also a civil engineer, you should have a broad idea about the structure of Bogibil Bridge in Assam or Bhupen Hazarika Bridge or Chenab Bridge.
Yes, sir.
Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So how structurally they are different from each other. What is a suspension bridge, what is a arch bridge, that kind of what is a cable stayed bridge, that kind of a thing.
Yes, sir.
General idea, sociology, when somebody asks you to give names of, speak names of prominent sociologists first, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
It's not that you spoke something wrong, but about the prominent sociologists and their contributions. So you must be aware, just update your information because it's on 13th only. Some sociological questions will definitely be there because you are a female candidate. Issues related to women empowerment, women-led movements and movement for women and all that. So how do you think that the economic independence itself will make women independent or not, or something else is required, those kind of things. Otherwise, excellent candidate. And carbon credit I have written somewhere because railways have also a very important carbon credit policy. Read on that also, in the context of your national carbon credit policy, what is the policy of railways.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, you have secured already 193, you are capable of securing even 200 plus, no doubt about it. Go with a positive body language and confident look and smile on your face, you will do excellent, no doubt about it. Okay, all the best.
Thank you, sir.